And so the silent field is a transmission field of light. As we drop into the silence, the field of presence, we drop into the transmission field of light. We are absolutely one with the transmission field of light. And the field is a field of divine intelligence, pure intelligence. Everything is happening in this field. In truth, we can't really give words to what this is, what we are, what is happening. And yet words dance and attempt. But the words that come are not giving an explanation, they're not sharing information. They're sharing a frequency, a resonance. Even the words are silence. Whatever they are saying, they're speaking silence. The words are like an attunement, invitation to the frequency field, an invitation to remember. In a way, the field itself is an invitation, a constant invitation, an open invitation. To receive the invitation is to receive the transmission of the field. It's like a magnetic pull. It's a magnetic pull that is calling itself to itself, drawing itself into itself, refining and recalibrating the frequency field of intelligence, ironing out distortions, discordance, and restoring the essence, pure nature, frequency remembrance, and light codes. Wherever in the field there is a readiness, where there is a ripeness, there's nothing that we can do, and yet we can say yes to the invitation. We can follow the pull, the draw, the current, not knowing where it's leading, not knowing in words, but knowing on some level at the frequency resonance of the heart that there's a recognition of a resonant vibrational field of truth, of love, of openness, like being called to the sun, being called to bask in the sunshine, the eternal sunshine, being called to bask in the light of your own self, the self-light, the light of recognition, the light of deep resonant remembrance, opening to the field of intelligence that already knows and is working as light codes and fine frequency flows to reorganize the patterning. Where the patterning has taken shape as a discordance that believes that I am divided from the whole. The pure flow of consciousness is dancing, ebbing and flowing, naturally to upgrade and reattune, reorganize any patterning that is discordant, disconnected, and reconnecting, realigning so that the flows of communication of the intelligence are truly speaking to themselves in the language of light, speaking the language of silence. The power of silence, the power of recognizing the resonant frequency field of light, the field of presence, of the self-light that is always radiantly shining. Right now, there's a glorious transmission and reorganization happening. It's deeply in process. It's so deeply in process that it's moving right now in such a live way, right now in this moment. That the okay, so the resonant frequency of what's happening in the field, the intelligence and the fineness of the intelligence that's moving, is moving in a way that the words can't quite keep up with it in this moment. The fineness of the transmission that's moving in the field. It's inviting a depth of receptivity. It's inviting awe and wonder. Because the fineness of the intelligence it cannot be spoken. It's like spinning golden light. The golden light is spinning, and as it's spinning, it's like it's weaving itself like golden threads back into the fabric of the divine patterning. It's like the transmission field is coming through with such a refined, reorganizing set of light frequencies. The light frequencies are completely unique to each being, and yet it's one field. What it's revealing on the widest level is that there is only one field. It's revealing how whatever is seemingly happening uniquely and individually is always like a murmuration within the field of consciousness, right? So we're never alone. We're never moving alone. We're never moving in a way that's disconnected from the whole. Never, never. The whole is absolutely connected. So what is happening right now is this light field of frequencies, like threads of golden light weaving themselves back into divine patterning, and the intelligence of that is revealing at every point in its own unique way how you are seen and received and shining as the one self, as yourself. When you are yourself, you are shining as the one self. And so as these light, it's like threads of bright, brilliant golden light that are moving and weaving and reorganizing and recalibrating. As if weaving the fabric of any sense of disconnection back into the remembrance of the absolute oneness. And it's offering frequencies and light codes at every point to reveal and bring the knowing that you're never disconnected, that you're never apart from the glory, that you're absolutely always moving, whatever's happening, wherever you are, like a murmuration of consciousness, that consciousness moves always as one. Nothing is left out, ever. The whole is moving. To reveal itself. It's moving to bring a deepening sense of awe and wonder, and a sense of knowing that this one wide open field is a field of revelation. And so it's bringing revelation. It's bringing revelation. And in that, it's so all-encompassing. It brings a sense of recognizing the belonging to the glory, to the one field. It brings a sense of being seen, of being held, of being known, of being met. Because all of this that we're longing for in the play of the world can only happen in the one field. And it's as if the threads of our uniqueness that have seemingly felt to be disconnected are being rewired and reconnected to the source light, as if every little break in the thread is being very, very finely reconstructed and plugged back in. It's like if you have a string of Christmas lights and they don't turn on if one of them is slightly not right, right? You've got to find the one, and then you've got to do a little job to get that one in, and then the whole string comes on. It's a little bit like that. Anywhere that there's a thread that's not fully illuminated, the light is moving through and working to bring, in a way, like a true healing, like, which is a rewiring and reorganizing the pattern, the divine pattern. It's restoring the source light codes of truth at the deepest, finest level of intelligence. And it's absolutely golden. It's golden. And there's something very potent about the frequency of golden. The frequency of golden is the frequency of the immaculate, the frequency of the divine, the frequency of golden. It's the frequency of being recognized into the source of all, being plugged back in, and all of the lights coming on, like all of the doors and the windows are open. All of the places that want to unconsciously, in a protected way, hold protection and conditionings, and that want to stay safe, are being invited through this deep recalibrating in the light threads to remember, to recognize, and to receive the fine frequencies of intelligence that are flowing. And there's nothing that you need to do or notice or understand or get. You can't not receive what is happening. And the way that it's unfolding is completely unique at every point. And so just to open and just to say yes, just to receive. It's to just receive and watch. Notice what is here to be noticed, but nothing needs to happen. We're not what we think we are. The recalibration and the rewiring and these golden threads are working multidimensionally on every layer simultaneously. And everything is moving as one whole. And as this restoration is happening in the field, it's the reverberations of this restoration are reverberating right out. It's an infinite field. And as these recalibrations are happening, there's a deepening of the silence, the resonant field of silence. Because this kind of restoration it's akin to the pristine. It's akin to the immaculate. It's akin to the divine. And so the silence, the pristine silence of the field, pristine silent presence of the field is presenting itself and revealing itself as the glory. That as you drop into the silence, you're dropping into a more refined frequency of the glory than ever has so far been accessed in the silence. There are so many refinements that happen in the silence. And this is a very golden upgrade in the silence. The silence is golden in the truest sense. The field is golden in the purest sense. It's like the whole field is being washed with golden light, like a shimmering, glimmering golden light. And it's now flooding into the The physicality is flooding into the body. And it's flooding in this way that is meaning that it's flooding as a light code that's appearing in every single cell at exactly the same time simultaneously. It doesn't need to move around. It's like emerging from within the cell. The deeper codes that have been dormant are emerging within every single cell simultaneously and bringing forward the codes of golden. And as the codes of golden come forward, it brings rejuvenation to the cells. It brings rejuvenation on the level of the physical. It brings the golden on the level of the physical. It brings silence to the physical. And the effect that this has is like a wash of golden silence that it's like a reset on the level of the physical. Just to receive it. It's washing now out into the mental and emotional bodies. And again, it's like a wash of golden light, like a shimmering. And it's washing and it's resetting and reorganizing the field of the emotional and the mental. It's very, very subtle and refined what is happening. It's coming in as a jubilant celebration and support of our shine field. And it's bringing in this recognition how the field is one field, that we're never moving alone, that we're never moving in division. Even when the mind believes a sense of disconnection is in place, it's revealing that whatever is happening is always as one. And in that, what is being illuminated is that it also means that we're always connected to the divine. We're always held and belonging. We're always moving as one. But it's also illuminating that where we make our allegiance, we're also moving as one, right? So when our allegiance is with the yes, we're moving in allegiance with the field of yes, and we feel the beauty and the support of that. If we're making our allegiance with the no, then we're going to feel disconnected. And we're going to feel like we're in allegiance with the collective no, right? The collective fear frequency. Now, even if we're making our allegiance with no and with the fear, we're still one with the divine in the deepest sense. But how we feel and how the lived experience is will be a reflection of where we're making our allegiance. And yet on the deepest level, we're always one. The fear and the love is one. It's one field. And we're always one with the divine. Even if the allegiance can be with contraction or a mental patterning that's pulling the attention. And so in this, there's a revealing of a deeper sense of that you can't get it wrong. Because sometimes there can be a sense, if the allegiance is with fear or in some kind of contraction, it can feel like I'm doing something wrong. I'm away from God and the glory. I need to get back. I'm bad. I left myself. I abandoned myself. What's happening in this recalibration that's coming in is like a heightening the knowing that wherever you are, whatever's happening, even if there's a sense of turning away, that you're still one with the glory. And so that you have the wiring to not make yourself wrong. And so it doesn't deepen the allegiance into a making yourself wrong, whatever's happening. It's inviting that whatever's happening, that the resonant field is being reorganized so that the knowing that you belong to love and there's nothing wrong with you is ever present. Mm. So the rewiring is working in a very focused way now in the heart field. What is happening in the heart field is at the frequency of the heart's knowing, the sense of knowing, where the being knows itself as being. The heart knowing is a knowing of the oneness. The heart knows there's only one heart. So this frequency field of the infinite heart, the one heart, is again in a similar way. It's being rewired and reorganized to bring the knowing that even if there's a sense of my personal heart, that the sense of personal heart is absolutely wired into the infinite heart, that there's no division between personal heart and infinite heart. It's like two sides of one coin. The sense of personal heart is the experiential level on the human level, and the infinite heart is the direct experience of the divine heart. And it's all one. And that's known. It's known on the level of true heart. And even sometimes, if on the level of personal heart, when heart feels disconnected or broken, it can feel divided. But this rewiring that's happening and this illumination that's happening is illuminating that whatever happens on the level of heart that feels divided or broken or shut down or closed, it's like the eternal silver lining, right? It's bringing the knowing that there's an eternal silver lining, right? Although in a way it's more like an eternal golden lining, right? But it's the same quality that we know as the silver lining, that there's always something perfect, even when the heart feels disconnected, broken, shut down. The silver lining is that there's always some kind of magic and grace happening, and there's no division, that you're not really ever a closed heart. You're not ever really a broken heart. You're not ever really a personal divided heart. And this is bringing the sense of the silver lining being the golden light and radiance of the heart field that is ever infinite and undivided. Mm-hmm. Mm. So the light is working in the hands right now. It's working in the hands and in the fingers. I'm not sure what it's up to. Let's see. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. It's playing. It's being very incredibly playful. So what it's revealing is that it's working. It's working in the fingers and in the hands, and the rewiring. What it's revealing is that even at the farthest reaches, literally, like when there's a sense of being out on a limb, right? Even even when there's a sense of being far away from yourself. So in this instance, what's being revealed as there's a working in the hands and the fingers is like the incredible wisdom and how the wisdom knows exactly where to work. That there's never any area, however far outside of your understanding, or however obscure it seems, or however far away you may feel, it's revealing that the wisdom knows and has always is always attuned with you, has always got you. And so working here in the hands and the fingers, it's bringing a sense of recalibrating, the sense of holding. It's recalibrating the sense of subtlety to the wisdom. Mm-hmm. However disparate anything seems to be, that the light knows exactly how to reach you wherever you are. And so it's bringing in this sense of knowing that you can always reach for the divine, always reach for the light, and the intelligence always knows, always knows what is needed. It's also recalibrating the healing chakras in the hands. It's bringing in, it's bringing in frequencies of divine holding, which allow for you to use your hands to support yourself, to bring your hands with a sense of bringing the divine holding and the divine codes of recalibration to any area on the body. It's like it's bringing golden silence into the hands. Mm. Mm. And the golden silence in the hands is being coordinated with the heart and the heart field. So the hands are being given this sense of infinite loving presence and holding. No more instructions being given. It's just an exploration. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So just noticing the silence of the field right now. Receiving yourself in the silence, meeting yourself in the silence, meeting yourself in this one field, that the greatest offering that you are is in being yourself. As a field of silent presence, you are being yourself. And as you rest in this silent presence and embody this silent presence, it's as if you are embodying the light of the self. And as you embody the light of the self, you bring the light of the one self, the one field, and the frequency of love and openness to the surface of life. You bring this by being yourself, that the greatest gift of grace is to be yourself in the most natural and honest way. The more that you are yourself, the more potent you are as an emanation of the field of silent presence. And of course, this would include being very deeply, resonantly connected to the true intuition, moving from the intuitive knowing and being the living process of alchemy that is bringing the light to the surface of life through your lived experience. As you bring the light to your lived experience, and that means bringing the light to the discordance. As you illuminate and transmute the discordance, you're bringing the light into the life, you're integrating the light into the lived experience, and you're creating the body of light. You're refining the subtle body, and you're bringing that light frequency to the surface of life in your lived experience. And so the greatest offering is to be yourself. That the frequency of the transmission field that you are is your gift. And it's where the Dharma can flow. The Dharma flows through the frequency of your transmission field. And it will get honed and shifted as the frequency of the transmission field refines. as an instrument of grace, as a bringer of the light. Mm-hmm. So to receive yourself, the light of the self, in the silent field of presence, is to receive yourself in the light, in the openness and the beauty, the natural grace. That your divine instructions, let's say, are in the silence, in the intelligence, in the pristine silence, in the intelligent flow of the knowing are your instructions, is your guidance. Every being has unique instructions. And so as we open to the guidance and the flow through the knowing of the heart and the knowing of the being and the field, the one field, we're attuning with the flow of intelligence, and we're attuning with our unique divine instructions. And we're being moved by grace. We realize that all of life is a movement of grace. All of life is an intelligence. There's so much that we cannot see, and there's so much that we cannot know with the mind. And so we're being invited to receive the upgrades and recalibrations that bring us into greater subtlety and upgrade our ability to see and to be able to read the intelligence and to attune to the true intuitive knowing, so that we're living at a finer frequency than we've ever lived before. That we're living at the frequency where we're being lived by the divine frequency, where we're being lived by the light codes. And as we're being lived by the light codes, divine light codes, we're being repatterned as we're living. We're being integrated and recalibrated as we're living. Every moment of our lived experience is a deeper integration and recalibration. It's like the fabric is being made, the weave and the weft is being created as we're living. That's why we can't quite, and it's the perfection that we can never really know, that the truth is absolutely unknowable, unfathomable. So we can't say what the fabric is going to look like. We can't say, because we can only know what's here now, right? On a certain level, that's obvious. We know this wisdom, but it's being revealed in this weaving of the golden fabric of life right here now. The weaving that's happening is it's revealing the incredible intricacy of the lived experience being the weaving of life, the weaving of the divine life. And as we weave these light codes, the light threads and light codes are being woven. It's like it's shifting the reality, and it's opening things that have never been lived before by anyone ever, right? It's completely new. completely new. We're right on the edge, the evolutionary edge of consciousness. It's as if we really are like right on the edge. And here, right on the edge, it's like you can't read ahead in the book. You can't take a peep at the final chapter. You can't even read a page ahead because it hasn't been written yet, right? Hasn't been written yet. And yet, at the same time, there's something glorious, which is that it's all here, present in its totality. The codes are all here in the totality. It's all here. And the living of life is the revealing of how to read this field. It's revealing how to live this reality, how to live this divinity. It's getting very alive and exciting right now. Okay. What we're opening to is we're opening to read the field, the Shruti. We're opening to read the field in the way of it's a way of reading the intelligence of the field, not in the ways that we've generally been organized to read the intelligence. So what's happening right now is that we're being recalibrated, and we're being given upgrades to be able to read the field through the intelligence of our lived experience. So we're right on the edge of the evolutionary unfolding of consciousness. And we don't know, we can't know what's ahead. And the reason that we can't know what's ahead is because it hasn't been written yet. And yet we have this capacity to read the field of totality where everything is known, because everything is known in the knowing of the One. The One is everything. Everything is known in the One. And as we know the One, we open to the ultimate knowing, the whole field of intelligence, the whole field of infinite possibility, and the power and force of pure potentiality. The field of infinite possibility is the field of codes, of possibility. We generally don't access the majority of this because we don't have the intelligence to access it. We access a limited amount of the field of infinite possibility because we only have the conscious capacity to access a very small amount. And so we're being shown here that as we upgrade and we open to the knowing of the being, we open to the knowing of the One, we're opening to the field of intelligence and the field of infinite possibility. And there's no system here. There's no system for reading this. This is the grace, is that we have to access our own way of reading this. We have to open our own intelligence and our own subtle capacity. We can't use anyone else's techniques. Scrap everything. Scrap everything. It will just shut down your own capacity if you use anyone else's techniques or any other systems, because this has not been created before. It has to be at the absolute cutting edge and pioneering that you open through your own intelligence the capacity to see and to read and to be living on the evolutionary edge. And literally the life is the intelligence. The living of life is the intelligence opening to itself and bringing what we have to call a self-born knowledge. It's where the self-light is on and we know the one field of the self-born knowledge that comes forward is our own unique capacity to bring forward the wisdom of the field. It's the Shruti, it's what we might have related to how the rishis. So we're being invited to be in our rishi, true rishi nature, with the ability to be the seer, to be the intelligence that can read and open the codes of the field and the living of life that have been dormant. They're here as a field of infinite possibility, but they haven't been accessed before. There are beings that are accessing this field, but every being has to come absolutely fresh and empty and discover their own capacity. You can't be a seer through someone else's, let's say, you can't kind of fly on someone else's coattails or use someone else's system. You can only access this through your own knowing, right? And so the glory is that as these words are coming forward, this is the transmission. This is the invitation. This is how the field is an invitation. And you don't need to know what it means, but you can feel somehow in your heart, in the intelligence, a certain knowing. And that's it. That's all you need, is where you can feel a sense of, oh, just like an attunement, a certain knowing, a certain recognition. This is your frequency code, that is your access. This is your access, this is your attunement. And it's just about being here, where the heart's knowing is alive, and just opening here and recognizing that in this frequency that you can recognize right now, you're one with the field, you're one with the transmission field, you're one with the divine, you're one with the absolute innocence. And in a way, now here, what's being invited is that the lived experience is what refines the capacity to open more to the subtle and the seeing capacity. And in a way, this is what's always been happening. But what's being revealed here right now through this particular way of sharing is that when we come to the heart's knowing and the field of being, we're opening to the field of the one, silent presence. And here in the pristine, immaculate field, it's a field of infinite possibilities, and it's a field of power and force, which is the divine, the wholeness. And as we open here, we're opening to be fully resourced, like that we are resourced. And we're being invited to open to the intelligence that's available in the heart's knowing as the flow of life, the flow of the knowing, and our connection to source at a frequency level. We're being shown that there's an absolute wide open invitation. All the doors and windows are open, and you're absolutely welcome to refine through the lived experience your capacity of seeing and opening to the subtle, refined perception. And what's happening in this transmission is that there is recalibrations and upgrades happening to support that completely uniquely at every point, because we all have slightly different capacities. And that's why we can't ever try to use someone else's capacity. And we must never also try to sell our own capacity, because that shuts it down. What we're speaking of here is opening to the true nature, the true self, We're not speaking of any beings that are, or entities that are apart from what we are. We're speaking about a field of light that is one field of light. It's a field of Siddha light, and it's a field of perfect light, divine light. And the way that that perfection dances in our human experience is as a remembrance of innocence, a complete remembrance of innocence. So as there's a sense of these upgrades and recalibrations and revealings happening, what's being revealed is the capacity that we have as a consciousness, that consciousness is wired to know its divinity. We, as a field of human, are wired to know our divinity, and we're wired to see through the limitations and to operate at a much more refined, much more refined frequency, that our nervous systems, our consciousness is wired for that, it's prepared for that. So we're just not used to using the full capacity. And to open to the full capacity, it has to be through our own revelation. Only our own revelation can open our capacity, because we have to find our own way with autonomy to the field of oneness. We can join in it, and the sharing here is a sharing of the direct experience here, and a reading, or the field is reading itself through this instrument, because it's how I'm used. And yet it's not teaching anything, it's not giving any ideas, it's not giving anything to believe in. It's like activating and like a field of transmission, where you discover what's true about yourself in this field. You remember what's true about yourself, and you explore, not beliefs and ideas and teachings, you explore in your own direct experience. And then you share what is happening and opening for you, and the whole field receives the grace and blessing. And because as each being shares, whatever is shared is sharing your transmission, is bringing your transmission field forward. And there's like a dance in the field, and again it's like a murmuration, so it's all moving as one, and there's a grace and a glory to it all. So as the sharing happens here in that murmuration, as this one is moving, everything is moving together with that, kind of responding to it. And where there's a certain frequency, consciousness will always be drawn to the finest frequency in the field, right? It will always be drawn because it wants to know itself. So the attunement happens because consciousness is drawn to the fine frequency, and it attunes to the finest frequency at the capacity that it can, and then it starts to resonate and explore. It's like I use this crystal bowl. It's like if I have more than one crystal bowl here, if I tap one, the others will start, even on a small level, they'll start resonating, even if you don't actually touch them. It's the same with other kind of instruments, that when you start to play, the instruments start to tune, right? Tone and tune. It's like that. So where there's certain frequency in the field, all of the instruments start to attune and tone to create like a symphony, like an orchestra, right? Starts to really kind of tune to itself. So as the sharing is coming, there's an a direct attunement in the field and an opening of the intelligence, and then the recognition. And that recognition will be happening for each of you in a different way. Some of you will feel the resonance, some of you will recognize the intelligence or feel the stillness, the silence. It's totally unique how that happens, and it's absolutely precious how that happens at every point. And then the invitation of the field is always to explore what is alive for you. What are you noticing? What is coming forward? What is being opened? What is happening as the transmission field is open and the light is moving and recalibrating in the field? Because ultimately, it's one field, and really this is the main thing that's being revealed here in our gathering, is that it's one field and it's all moving always together as one. It's always resonating as one, and whatever movement is happening, it's always balancing, harmonizing, responding to itself. It's always and it's attempting, on the deepest level, it's attempting to reorganize and recalibrate and bring the divine, restore the divine patterning and the divine source light codes in order to open up beyond our current functioning, to bring refinement, recalibration, and rewiring, right? So just noticing the silence, the still silent field. You are the silent field. You are the still silent field of presence. And the wisdom is here. The intelligence is here. And where the silence knows itself as the silent field, the intelligence is alive and it's resonating within itself. Like the consciousness knowing itself is consciously awake to itself. And that's like a resonant field of the awakeness, like resonating, vibrating within itself as a field of intelligence that's intelligently communicating with itself. And that's what's happening in the field now, that the field of intelligence is communicating with itself. It's resonating, it's vibrating, it's attuning, toning with itself. And in every system, that's allowing recalibrations and upgrades to happen. And then the presence of the divine that is always here is moving to support those upgrades. And where there's a recognition of certain readiness, ripeness, certain supports, then the light moves to reorganize, because it's what's always happening, this harmonizing and rebalancing. It's always happening, not just when I'm speaking it. It's always happening. I'm just a reporter. I'm reporting right from the edge of the evolutionary field of consciousness, live, right? Coming to you live. No propaganda here. Just reality, just the truth. So now just the invitation that's coming in is like a sinking. It's like a rest, rest, rest. Just resting here, sinking in, deepening in. Rest, rest. Rest and receive. Rest and receive. Rest and receive. So there's a attention coming now to the feet. coming to the feet, and this coming to the feet is about grounding the light. It's about grounding the light, keeping your feet on the ground, and it's about grounding the light. So if your feet are not on the ground, you might want to put your feet on the ground, or just be aware of your feet kind of grounded. Just even if you're like lying on the sofa, you just ground your feet on the sofa. and it's just that sense of that, how we are both an antenna and a transmitter of the light. So we're receiving the light and we're transmitting the light as a field. We're receiving and transmitting. We're walking as a field. And what's happening now in the feet is this grounding of the light. It's bringing the light right down to the feet and grounding the light. It's grounding the sense of the light, that it's not only about opening to the light in the infinite and the unbounded. It's about grounding the light in our lived experience, just as we've been speaking of, that actually the lived experience, this moment, we're unfolding the reality and we're refining consciousness as a reverberant field for the whole. And the more that we can ground the light in our lived experience by walking this life as a field of presence. And what's happening now is that the working in the feet, like the toes are all lit up, but the foot chakras are being rewired, and the light is coming down into the feet. And it's actually moving out through the bottom of the feet as well. It's always moving through, because we're not actually ever contained within the body, but we're coming to open to the subtle body and the light body, and to really be able to open to that subtle perception of being a body of light, of being a body of light. So the feet of light are grounding the light. The hands of light are like holding the light, holding the light. The heart is a field of welcoming, of light. The root field is also a field of grounding the light, but it's more of a field of grounding the light, which is, it's actually the root is more receiving. It's like it's the first receptacle of the ground of the light, and then then it grounds down through the feet and the lived experience. And then the light of this area of the crown and the third eye, inside and around the head, that there's a brilliance here. So the light is still golden here, but it's very, very bright and white as well. And this field is the purest connection to the divine. And this is the center of seeing, the center of pure awareness. It's like the awakened mind is pure awareness, right? And it's this field of that pure awareness that's the clearest, purest connection to the divine. So there's just a little rewiring happening now on in and around the head. Just brilliant bright light. And it's connecting down now into the heart field and the root field. It's going all the way down to the feet and out of the bottom of the feet, going down the arms to the hands. So it's like everything now is really connected and flowing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. So that is a field of intelligence that is flowing as one whole. It's the field of self-light. It's the field of the self that knows itself, of self-knowledge, pure knowledge. And from here, this field, we open to self-born knowledge. So what is being spoken here is self-born knowledge. It's being born out of the field of the self. It's not coming from anything learned. It's not coming from books. It's a self-born knowledge, and we all have access to this self-born knowledge. But we can only access it through the field of the self. And we will also receive and bring forward this knowledge, this wisdom, light in completely different ways, right? And in a way, the way that we work to start with is first by clearing up the field. We first work by clearing up the unconscious, being the light, the self that can illuminate and clear the unconscious. And we move in that way through clearing, through the lived experience, whatever comes forward on the simple human experiential level as resistance and stress and upset and emotionality, that we work on that level, and that even working on that level, the way that we've been being revealed here and is being recalibrated here in our gathering is revealing that whatever's happening, it's a deeper recognition that it's one field of grace, and wherever we're working as one whole, and it's always in support of the whole. So there are some very precious upgrades and revealings, illuminations that are happening here in the field of our gathering. And yet there's such a gentleness and softness, and this incredible invitation to rest and receive, that there's nothing to do, that the field is always working to rebalance and harmonize, and yet in the flow of what's been happening as we've been gathering, there's a settling out happening now to the fullness and focus that's been present in our field. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So as we join as one field of light. And as we join, we open to the transmission field, and we receive the frequency of the transmission field of our joining. So this is where our transmission is our offering. We offer that frequency transmission, and we join with the field, and we receive from the field to the capacity that we are able. And in that we receive upgrades and recalibrations. Mm-hmm. And the glorious thing is there's nothing to do, nothing to understand, nothing to know, nothing to carry forward. It's here now, right now, in this timeless moment. Mm. And so too, if there's a listening again to this, it will be absolutely fresh, as a fresh transmission in the moment. It's not in time or of time. Mm. And the frequencies that would be received each time of the listening would be different, right? Yeah. So as we open and we trust the deep intuition, the true intuitive knowing, we open beyond what we've ever accessed before. And it's a surrender to just let go into allowing the grace to flow. It's a surrender. It's life itself surrendering into itself, never knowing what is coming, but just saying yes to itself and allowing the flow of life to flow within itself, just always receiving itself and being open to itself. So just taking some nice deep breaths, long, slow, deep breaths here. In through the nose, right down into the base of the lungs, letting the belly soften if that feels comfortable. Breathing into the back body and side body if that feels accessible and comfortable. And out through the mouth or the nose as feels right for you. Letting the breath be long and slow and deep and very gentle and soft. You might even want to stretch your face and your jaw and just allow any kind of stretching to happen. Like a little creature, right? Just be a little creature and just allow whatever kind of stretching might want to happen. And just letting the breath be long and slow and deep and gentle. And letting the breath bring you back into the sense of finding the coordinates of the body, but at the same time recognizing that the infinite field is always here, and that you are the infinite field, and yet you can feel yourself as a point in the infinite field simultaneously, the point in the infinite. But there's no division, no separation, no limitation.